Hello everyone, welcome to Terrible Shirt Clinic. I am wearing the worst shirt I own. I hope you are too. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday, isn't it? Yes, it is. Done a lot of streams this week, more than usual, because the kids are away. Lot of freedom to do stuff. So I've been doing the streams later on in the day as well. I've been finding that helpful. It helps me get my book writing and bits of my own game dev done because I know I've only got 2 or 3 hours before the stream's coming up, so I have like a mini deadline. And I tend to find when I'm trying to do some writing or some kind of creative tech work and there's like a deadline in the day where I've got to stop and get on with something else, then I get more done because deadlines be like that. They be powerful. Today we are becoming degenerate gamblers for sure. I've got 3 games that have come in from the Patreon community or the Discord community that all involve dice in some way. They may not necessarily be gambling games, they involve dice in some way. And I've also got a game that was on my backlog from the public list from indiegameclinic.com. Shroom Machine sent in Credit Farm that looks like an interesting kind of Luck Be a Landlord-esque game. It says a quirky game that makes you perform questionable financial decisions to survive. So we'll check that one out probably last, and we'll start with Big Flat Cabbage's deck dice prototype and then work from left to right. We'll check out more dice for the Dice God, House of Die by Happy Distractions, and just kind of see how these all work. So this is like a very, very kind of raw prototype to start off with, but let's just kind of see how it works. And I remember this game kind of came up on one of our Q&As recently because that Cabbage was asking about, like, you know, when you keep working on the same prototype and you keep pivoting, how do you kind of stop doing that? And I was saying one of the dangers of working on a purely abstract game like this is you can keep doing that forever because you don't have the theme of the game as a guide. Okay, so we'll start with this first. Deck dice, round 1, coins obtained is the sum of numbers rolled. Okay, coin requirement 10. Okay, dice available, all select dice will be rolled. So we've got a D20 in the 2D6s. Cards available, change 1 die and all its faces to a normal 10-sided die. Face numbers 1 to 10, or add 1 to all numbered faces on 1 die. Interesting. For a moment, I thought we were trying not to overshoot 10. I can spend 0 coins to draw a card. Okay. And then it costs 1. The problem with that choice is I should always pick it when it only costs 0, right? Am I going to get to keep these cards or will they get thrown away? Okay, we need to get 10 coins. That's 10 pips on the dice. Let's change one of the D6s to a 10. And I'm not sure why I wouldn't roll all the die. Current coins, no. Okay, so what's going to happen is each time we're going to have a slightly different math problem. But I can't, in the first one, I couldn't see why you wouldn't just always roll all of the dice. Roll 2 dice, the biggest number is divided by the smaller number to give you a score rounded down. Okay, so now we want to roll a big die and a small die. So we do this and this. And let's play a card to make our D20 more powerful. So I like this kind of dice manipulation thing. I can see why this game is kind of in this state, because if you rushed ahead to try and make this work with like real physical dice or even just images of them, it'd be quite hard to do these modifications. It's quite fun as an idea. I don't know if it's fun as a game yet. So I'm going to roll the 1 to 6 d6 and then the d20 that goes from 2 to 20 and has no odd numbers on it. And then going to roll that. because we're going to divide the largest number by the smallest number. So the largest thing we can get here is 20 divided by 1, which will win okay. If we get a 20 and a 6, we're going to be down to like 3 or 4, so that's not good. Let's see what happens. You rolled 2 and 2. Round result 1. Round coin requirement 15, current coins 20. Okay, so I still pass because I made enough coins in the last one. I don't know if that... That kind of makes it feel a bit anticlimactic because my second round score didn't really matter that much because I could get 1 and still pass. Okay, round 3. Coins obtained is the sum of numbers rolled. Only numbers within the range 3 to 12 inclusive score coins. So we need to get 30, but we've got 20, so we only actually need to get 10. We need to get 10. Anything above 12 is going to not score. So I would roll that one and that one. Let's upgrade this dice. Oh, nothing's happened. Okay, I'm going to roll those two. Yeah, the oldest known dice are the ones in the game of Ur, aren't they? They're like 4-sided pyramid dice. I think they're the oldest ones. Something that came up in the book that we were reading this month, Mike Cook's book about procedural generation. It's also mentioned in Jesse Shell's game design book, is like when people first started using dice, they didn't really, you know, people literally believed that luck was the gods, right? So they didn't really believe in randomness, which is kind of funny when you think of how we understand chance and dice now. It doesn't mean that we don't still have like emotional distortions of how we perceive chance and stuff, but it is very different from the sort of ancient experience of using dice. Okay, well, then we're back to round 1. I'm going to play it through one more time just to kind of get my head around it. This is going to be the sum of numbers rolled, so it's always going to be better if we... Just going to try and find the broken strategy here. So let's change that to a D10 again. And then we'll add 1 to all numbered faces on this die. And then if we roll all of those, the thing is, the first round, if we always upgrade our dice as much as possible and then roll them all, that's going to set us up with coins we can carry forward. So that's kind of, that what might make this slightly busted. So we go into round 2 with 17 coins, and we only need 15 coins, and we've already got them because of the way I played the first round. So now we're going to do big number divided by small number, which, although there's lots of potential outcomes of this, in terms of the choice I would input into it, I'm always going to roll my potentially biggest dice and my potentially smallest dice, right? Because I want a big number and a small number. So this one is kind of an interesting puzzle when you first look at it, but if you try and play it again, it's kind of like, well, there's always a best thing to do here. That best thing isn't going to automatically give you an outcome because the randomness range is quite large, but there's no reason why I should use the medium-sized dice on this. So we rolled a 6 and a 20, gave me 3 because 20 divided by 6. We were up to 20 coins. We still passed because I banked so many coins in the first round. And then round 3 is getting rid of anything that scores over 12. So this one, we shouldn't really roll the big dice anymore. It might make sense to spend coins to draw a card here. Change one die and all its faces to a normal 20-sided die. I don't know. I don't think that's that helpful here. Interesting. I'm going to roll the 2 smaller ones. Yeah, and then that takes us back. Very interesting. I think there's, as a set of puzzles, I hadn't played this before. As a set of puzzles, it's really neat. I think if you want this to be really playable, you would have to come up with some kind of visual language to make this interesting and some sort of theming. Even if it's just like you know, wizards doing experiments with potions or something like that. Because if this was like a real board game, a real tabletop card game, a lot of this stuff would be communicated through like some sort of like algebraic symbols that say this turns into this. Whereas there's lots of text to explain each rule and each card on this. And for the kind of how light the game is, you want a lot of that to be more intuitive. So I think there's some interesting kind of like problems that you give the player here to think through, but you do have to be wary of stuff like that second one where the solution is basically always the same thing. It's like roll your lowest and your highest, or roll your two lowest, or something like that. But actually getting to that point where you've worked that out is kind of interesting. I think you'd need quite a lot of different rounds to make sure that the puzzle stays fresh, and there's a lot of reason to keep like trying to draw new cards and have new abilities down here. But yeah, if you wanted to develop this more, I would slap a theme on it soon, and then start to think about how you communicate the dice changing, how you theme the cards and what the cards represent. Very easy to go down the route of like wizards, potions, and spells here, you know. But yeah, there's some. It gives you some interesting mental stuff to chew on, which I wasn't really expecting, because I think one of the problems with any game where you put dice and cards together is you're using two types of randomizers, and then it's like, okay, where's the interesting choice if everything in the game is random? But the cards are here to give you the modifiers on the randomness that make it less random. They're like, you know, one-shot abilities, so that kind of makes sense. Okay, let's check out more dice for the dice. I don't think there's much else I can get from playing more deck dice, but I think there's some interesting crunch in there. Just making sure you identify those kind of moments where it's a no-brainer, and it's always a no-brainer in that particular one. Okay, Dice for the Dice God. Real-time demo of more Dice for the Dice God. This is a dice auto-battler. So we're going to be purchasing units that have dice. We're going to get relics. Lots of performance issues right now. Okay, inconsistent UI, UX, working on it. Not going to use the debug controls unless we get stuck and really need them. See, with a game like Deck Dice, where it is basically a tabletop game, I would, if you want to make games like that and make them to a higher standard, I would definitely invest in something like Tabletop Simulator as part of your workflow. Because in Tabletop Simulator, you've got stuff like dice there as physics objects. You can roll them. You can do stuff like, you can make tokens in Tabletop Simulator very quickly by importing a PNG, and the transparent part of the PNG gets cut out and it becomes a token of like the correct shape for the transparent PNG. So you make all these like custom tokens shaped like little bombs or little stars or whatever very, very quickly, and like set the thickness of them and duplicate them and stuff like that, and then save the table state. And then you've got a prototype with all the nice touchy-feely stuff that you'd either want in a real board game, or to help you kind of prototype the look and feel and like visual communications for a board gamey video game, right? And Charlie Bosgrand, who's been working on Fame or Folly, that you've probably seen on the channel, who's like one of our patrons, he started prototyping that game in Tabletop Simulator, same way. So very early in that project, he was able to show me a playable version of the game without programming anything, and it just made it so much easier to see, you know, how the game worked and identify any potential problems with it before it was kind of anything had been programmed. Okay, more dice for the Dice God. Let's go. So I did have some games in the backlog that were dice-based, that were like dice placement games. I tried to focus on games where the dice has been used for like output randomness rather than input randomness, but I'm not entirely sure how that would have gone. Liking the way this battlefield is laid out. We've got some little orbs. We can stretch our... We can rotate them. These are our units. Not sure why they're little eyeball guys. We're going to fight. Let's see what happens. We will get that initial bit of performance clunk. It's nearly always like the first time a sound loads on a web build. Okay. Cursed eyes. All died. We killed 5 of them. Okay. Cursed eye level 2 levels up. Roll modifier +1. Max HP +50. Okay, 50% even. Choose one of 3 goblin folk units. So we've got we're getting booster pack type stuff. We've got quite a lot of gold to spend. So let's do a relic and then we can build around that, right? So we've got a cleansing hammer. On dealing overkill damage, the attacking unit converts the overkill damage to armor and loses all empowered. Living bark skin. On wounded, roll default dice to gain thorns and gain weakened. It looks like you've got a lot of trade-off things, like a lot of the abilities give you something and take something off. On battle start, units roll their dice to gain thorns and bleed. All of the relics have a trade-off. We'll take something away. We're going to do the living bark skin armor. That's fun. And then maybe... See, in a game like this, I would start off picking thematically, even though I know it's probably not the strategically strong thing to do. So I've chosen bark skin, so I'm going to choose like foresty things now, if I can. Okay, so these are like in a color order. Green is the best. That gives us some dice. An even D6. And has burn... dice or a healthy or self is healthy, apply slow 3 to target. Okay, sure. There's some complexity here that if this was a bigger game you would probably want to hide some of this away for a little while. You know, you can do a lot for onboarding in any of these engine builder type games, whether it's a like bullet heaven or a deck builder or an auto battler. When you've got lots of like stuff to pick from, you can make the onboarding of the game a lot easier, not by like over tutorializing it, but by just hiding the complex stuff and letting it unlock more slowly. It's one of the reasons why we have those slow unlock systems in things like Slay the Spire, so you don't get overwhelmed by the initial variety of stuff. Okay, who have we got here? We've got a Goblin Wizard. We've got a Goblin Wolf Rider. I feel like the Wolf Rider's a pretty good fit for my... We're doing a foresty build. Let's choose another relic and... when your units apply weakened, they gain armor. I think my units get weakened when their thorns trigger, so that might be able to create like a nice little interaction where I deliberately get armor back out of that negative. There's like a... My living armor creates a negative stack of weakened, but I can convert that weakened back into armor there. So we might be able to have a thing there that's helpful. Okay, let's go. I didn't put my... I don't think I put my new units into the army. I'm just a bunch of eyeballs that are getting murdered now. Oh, eyeballs. Okay, that was bad. Let's get a couple of new sets of units and see where we go from there. So we'll go for the bear. He's got nature. It's a nature type. And a big centipede. And... who's this? An imp? Why not? Dice booster... has slow self, has... Yeah, these are really text heavy. There's just... It's just too much complexity. So there's never anything you can choose from that doesn't require you to understand loads of rules, because everything has loads of rules, right? So I'm just going to pick them without thinking too much about it, and then I'll go, okay, I don't know what I've got, but I can work it out as we go along. Units. Okay, so how do I put you on the field? How do I field you, unit? How do I put you on the field? Let me go back, see if the page tells me anything about this. Yeah, this is the biggest problem. I just don't know how to put these guys on the map. You have to drag the unit. Ah, okay. Yeah, it doesn't look super like that's how it works because of the way. I think it's because this is so far up into the screen, it's kind of getting in the way of where I would put them, right? So it's hard to see that it's a drag thing, because this needs to be like a flat box that goes along here, so it's very clear that we're dragging them and putting them in here. See, like everything's getting in the way of everything else. Put those over there. Yeah, just... Right, so can I get that menu to go away, and then I can just do these how I want them? Would you still love me if I was a giant centipede? Here we go. Look at those guys. Little cacodemons. I like that we get this little battle log where we can see, like, we can see what happened with their buffs and debuffs and stuff. So the main thing I've noticed with auto battlers, as I've played a few of them now, is just the thing I'm really looking for is watching for the tide of battle. There's this sort of there's a skill involved in judging the outcome, right? Which is kind of what people enjoy about watching sport. And I feel like there's two things you have to get right for an auto battler to be good. And one is having this quite deep, rich engine building, which it feels like you've already got a lot of the ingredients for that. Of like, what units do I have? Where do I place them? How do I modify the abilities of the units and make them stronger? All of that stuff that makes the engine building part of the game work. Feels like you've got, obviously there are UX problems with placement and just menus being up when they shouldn't be and stuff like that. But it feels like you've got lots and lots of the ingredients for a good engine building part of the auto battling. I think the other part of an auto battler that makes it work is this spectatorship thing. If you think of like, if you think of dueling games like chess or Magic the Gathering, any competitive game where one person is playing against another person, if you watch really high level play, people kind of, if you're losing in one of those games, you get some pride back for like knowing when you should concede, right? So there's like a skill involved in judging the outcome. And the same with when you're watching a sport, like part of the enjoyment is watching it, understanding the sport well enough that you can kind of understand what's happening on the pitch or in the ring and make a prediction about what's going to happen, which is where kind of gambling links to sport as well. So I think the thing that these games need to do to work really well, and I think the last one I played that did this really well was that Soul's End or whatever it was called, is as I'm watching the battle, is it fun to try and watch for that point where I know which way it's going to go? And obviously I'm rooting for my side. I'm not watching a sport. I'm watching my characters that I've leveled up, watching my engine run in the game. But I want to be able to watch for that point where I go, yeah, we've got it, or oh no, we're going to lose it. And if I can, if the way that the battle is presented as it's happening allows me to do that, then it's going to be a good auto battler. If there's too much in the way, or there's no real tell for the kind of who's being the most successful in the battle, that's when you kind of lose that kind of pleasure, the spectatorship, the guessing, or the guesstimating who's winning and who's not. Let's get a new relic because we've got quite a lot of gold. We've got a Doombinder. We've got a Gloves of a Cruel Intent. Your units apply double weaken when they gain armor. They take 1 damage. The Banner of Eternal Flame. On enemy death, if the enemy had burn, a random ally within 3 meters of it heals for the enemy's burn stacks. I don't think we have burn yet, but let's get that just in case. Maybe the demons do some sort of burn attack. Yeah, I think in terms of the like structuring of the content, you've basically got loads of complex stuff and you've got no simple stuff. And I think the way to structure a game like this so that it's not overwhelming is to make sure that at the start of the game, the player has access to, like, I don't know, 60-70% of the things are quite simple, and they don't have all these kind of if this, then this, and they're just like a basic thing. And then all of the more conditional stuff gets added in as you go, and that kind of gives you the things that are more powerful but create this like higher risk reward. And that's like that's a design flavor thing. That's not like you should definitely do it that way approach, but I think you'll generally find that's the way to kind of do one of these games in a way that kind of onboards people in a way that doesn't immediately freak them out with how complex things are. Right, we've got a wizard which will allow us to make use of that burn relic. So let's get a wizard because he's going to fireball some people, and fireballs are good. Who have we got here? We've got some hobgoblins. Snipers, yeah, let's get some ranged hobgoblins to go with our other goblin. And we've got some dice. And has burn self, flawed d6, lucky self. Well, self has burn, gain haste 3. Okay. Or d12. And then let's go back. Yeah, there's just lots of times when there's lots of buttons that are kind of up when we don't need them to be and stuff like that. Okay. Got defeated that time. So what I want to do is get rid of the shop. Close the shop. There we go. Get my new units in. So, wizard. Yeah, I don't think it necessarily matters where this panel goes, but where it needs to not go is right here on top of the place where we're putting things, This either needs to be a wide, thin thing along here, or it needs to show up on this side, but this is getting in the way. Right, is there some limit on how many units I can have out? Okay. Okay, we're going to make a big wall in front of our squishies. and have the wizards and archers like behind all the big stuff. Yeah, I think one thing you want to think about to try and make sure the battle is legible is like when characters are dead, it's kind of cool to have the kind of painting the battlefield in the defeated creatures thing, but I might think about like tinting them or, you know, pushing them down a level so they're under the plants, or I don't know, there's something quite hard to read about the state of the battle, and you've got those little kind of borders around the units so you can kind of see how much control of the field you've got, but the kind of bodies do get in the way a little bit, I think. Right, we've got our dice pool here, and then we get to put our dice into our characters. So you can craft dice by dragging them onto each other. Okay. The tooltips for these aren't showing up reliably, so this part of the game is basically unplayable at the moment, I'm afraid. Like, I go on something, I'm looking for the tooltip, it's just not, it comes up briefly and it goes away, so I'm just having to do this randomly. I don't get to do the juicy, crunchy thinking that this part of the game is supposed to be about is not there for me now. So I'm just going to put them on stuff based on the color. Right, we've got 3 basic dice left, so let's go and draft some good dice. And I'm just going to get those 3 because they're a different color, I guess. And we'll go back here, close the shop again, go back here, put this red one. Yeah, this is really gonna, you're not gonna get like very good playtests with this at the moment because it is so performance heavy. I had this issue with our game, like when we put out the first alpha, there were a lot of people that just couldn't run it at all. And it's like, okay, well, we can tell people, sorry, your computer is not good enough. Or we can say, well, if this larger percent of the people who are trying to play it are getting it slowed down so much that they can't play it, then we're not going to have a good playtest. So we did some optimization, and there's still some to do. But yeah, sometimes you have to do an optimization just even for playtesting. And in this case, I don't know what the issue is. Doing a bunch of stuff through like time slicing and stuff like that. I don't know how much of that you've already done, but I'm having performance issues in these menus when we're not even in the combat. So, I mean, Dice for the Dice God is a great name here because it's kind of evoking Warhammer, and we're doing these kind of, you know, reasonably large scale battles for an auto battler with quite generic fantasy things, but there's some cool weird stuff thrown in, like the Demon Eye. They've got some monkeys. We're going to get attacked by demons, goblins, and monkeys next. Right, let's go. Maybe I'll do a bit better now I've actually upgraded everyone's dice. Yeah, I think honestly, with the characters that the corpses on the battlefield, if you could do something like just tint them slightly red so that everything else keeps its true color and has its kind of bright contrast and everything, and the stuff that's on the battlefield becomes like blackened or reddened, then the whole kind of state of the board is going to be a little bit easier to read, because I do find it a little bit visually confusing there. Okay. But I think the kind of strategy layer of picking the stuff and layering it out and choosing how to upgrade it feels pretty good. Like, it feels crunchy in terms of the thinking I'm getting to do. It's just the UX is going to hold it back, and particularly that the bit of trying to pick the trying to pick the trying to upgrade the dice is not great because it's, you know, I can't see anything really. We're going to get an ent. Let's get a dice booster. Poison target, cool. Can make a poison ent. Right, close the shop, open the units. We're going to take the eyeball out. Hello, eyeball, my old friend. I've come to put you in the bin. I'll replace you with some tree folk. Gonna give them some poisonous dice. See, we got like a good few seconds of lag just getting from there to there. Okay. Let's let them do their thing. Couple more rounds, we'll move on to the next game. Oof. Love the face on the ent. Don't know if you made the sprites for this or got them from somewhere, but they're pretty great. Merge those dice together into one. Can I do that still? High D4. It's got 10 on it. Who wants this? Who wants the big juicy red dice? Can I put it there? Is that an empty? You got it? I think they've got it. I know people love damage numbers as a type of feedback, but I do think they're so hard to read that they kind of become a little bit pointless. Because you're doing pixel font with that little black border around it. I think the fact that they're that size is actually making them harder to read. I can read the numbers popping up on the dice faces that are coming out during combat. Can't really read the damage numbers. So they have some sort of effect, but what I would be tempted to do is have like particle effects for each damage type, you know, so the normal damage is just doing like red violent explosions and the fire damage is doing something else, and then just kind of scale the amount of particle effects based on like the number, you know, if it's over 10 it becomes like 3 times as many of them or something like that. I understand why people like damage numbers, but I'm not sure that they're really achieving the goal of adding juice here, and the information you get from them maybe isn't that helpful. But it's also just a problem of like the bigger you make that pixel art font and putting a outline around it isn't helping. Okay, so House of Die next. Sit down, roll the die. Order 6 dice from 1 to 6. Roll 1 at a time and you walk free. Fail to finish before 100 rolls, you die at the table. Okay, so we're doing like a Inscription type horror themed thing. I'm interested in what the decision making is in this. I can't quite imagine it, but we'll see once we play. Settings, credits, enter. Great vibe on this already. Got some sound, I think. There you are. I wondered when you'd sit down. Oh no, don't get up. You only just arrived. Here. A small courtesy before we begin. What do they call you? They call me the Dice God. The Dice God, yes, that'll do nicely. I'll wear it out. And how would you like to be represented? I am the palest man known to man. Now hold still, every guest wears one of these. It's only so you don't wander. People wander, such a bother fetching them back. Very nice to have like the skin color choice on a finger cursor. I don't know if I've ever seen that in a game before. There, snug. It always is. Now the rules, such as they are. Lock 1 through 6 in a row within 100 rolls. That's the whole game. Okay, I press the button. Still on the floor, the Dice God. The bottom rung isn't going anywhere. Pity roll. There we go. Coin in your palm already. Click me. Press E. I keep things. You'll want them. Okay, but we can just lock that in, right, if it's on 2? Click me first or press E. Okay. Land your target number more often. Base worth. More cash for each die you lock in. We need... Have we got one? I can get that. Roll faster. I don't want to roll faster. Okay. Get the loaded dice. Where's my coins? Oh, 2. Let's go here. More cash for every die you lock in. That's going to be helpful, I think. Okay. It's mildly confusing that the dice is on the right number before you roll it. Oh. Okay, I'm already seeing something interesting here, because I was looking... This is one of those games where you're like, what is the game? Immediately, what is the game? Because it's just rolling a dice and you don't have any control over it. But it's an engine builder again, isn't it? It's about what do we spend our money on to kind of try and guide all of the other randomness. It's the same structure as the last game that we played in some ways. So we do, when we fall back down the tower and we're back to square one and we don't have any die locked in, we do keep our money, so we don't lose that. So let me just see what I can get with 3. I don't want roll faster. I don't think that's helpful. Can't get anything else, so. But the way the game's structured, you do always want to push your luck because you get the amount you roll, right? So the further you get up, the more money you've got each turn. Psst, over here. The house sells trinkets. I sell dice, ones with opinions. Click me. Look. Click a die, your coin does the talking. Quick now. A weighted D4. 1, 2, 6, and 2. 4 sides. 6. 6. I would, in this diagram, I would just represent this as 1, 1, 6, 6 with a slash between it, because that's quite confusing. And the way it's rotating, it looks like it's got a 6 on every side. But I can see 6, I think it's 6, 6, 2, 2, or 6, 6, 1, 1. But the text is a little bit confusing there. I would think a little bit more about that. Even faces only. $12 can't afford. We can get the middling, 3s and 4s. Okay, let's get one of them because we'll need it later. Why do you hate me, luck? Man. What have you got? What have you got? You haven't got anything I need. Rolling faster is not helpful. Okay, do you have anything that I can get for 6 that's going to help me? Keep dice on a miss instead of dropping to the bottom. Get that? I'm not entirely sure how that works, but let's see. Okay, now this one, 3 3s, 3 4s. So we're going to go for this now. Cool. Oh no, no, that was the first time I've used the weighted dice. You have to put them in and then roll them next to your dice, and then you use them. But I didn't have a point where I could use it before that because my weighted dice has 3s and 4s on it. I hadn't got up to that point where I needed it. A roll 1 pip off your target can teeter into place. 15% chance to do that. That's quite good. Each rung up the ladder plays a bigger multiple. Yeah, let's go into money because we're still in the first half of the game. We've done 41 rolls. We've got 100 rolls. So anything that allows us to get more money is still helpful at this stage. Land your target number more often. Let's level that up as well. That's gone up to costing $121 now. Hell yeah. Face I can work with. They call me many things, friend. Tonight call me lucky. Come sit at my cups. 3 little fates on the felt, friend. Pick one. You must. The house insists. The glutton. Payouts are doubled. A miss drops you to the bottom. The mark. Odds go down. Beat the cups to lift it. The leech. Roll 3 dice. Any hits. Minus 15 life per roll. What's life? Is that just my tries? I'll do the first one. Okay. And keep the curse. Thanks for the tip, RXH. Go on the roll or spacebar. Okay. You only use these special dice once and then they're gone. That's kind of stinky. I don't like that. What have you got? Have you got a 3 for me? Half 6s, half 1s. Never truly dies. Okay. We'll get the fast hands because it's only $1 now. I would do the odd, because that's got 2 3s on it. Come on. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of totally losing the weighted die. It's like... It feels like all of my investments just go away entirely, which I don't know if that's what I'm looking for in a game like this, but... I get that it adds a lot more tension. Right. Roll the odd again. Come on, give us a 3. Yes. Okay, now we need a 4, but we don't have anything to make it easier to get a 4 at that stage, so... What have you got for me? I roll 1 pip off. Yeah, let's get that. We didn't have that already. So when we roll, if we need a 3, if we roll a 4 or a 2 now, there's a 15% chance it will go onto the right dice because it's 1 pip away. That seems like a pretty good thing to be able to upgrade, especially when you count in like the rolls where you've got multiple dice, where you've got like, although most of the time the weighted dice, because they can't be 1 pip away, right? If you've got a dice that only has even numbers on, and you roll a 4 on it, and you were trying to get a 2, right? There's no way to roll a 3 or a 1 and have it change up into a 2 because it can only roll a 2 or a 4. So that only really helps with the basic D6 that you have, I think. There we go. There was the nudge ability. Right, help me get a 3, buddy. Threes and 4s. Come on then. Let's do it. Oh. No good. We're gone. We're dead. We're dead. It's great. This is really cool. I don't know if it makes much sense when you're watching it, but it's really compelling as a set of decisions. I think the music is a little bit too intense for like the stage of the game we're at. It feels like a good candidate for having, you know, 6 layers of music that gradually become more intense. So what, you know, it gradually builds up depending on how far up the tower you are. You die? Take 1 with you. Okay, what's a good thing to start off with? I think something that gives us more money is probably better. Because we just have a stronger economy from the get-go. Base worth. Okay. Oh, I didn't see what they said. They were going to give me a tip. Mate, come on. Oh, but we're 15 rolls in already. Oh. What have you got for me? Okay, that one is locked in for good now. I think we're going to need a few variations on that sound effect as well. You want a quick way of doing that? take the dice roll sound, load it into Audacity, chop it up into like 4 or 5 parts, move them around and save it out as a different sound file loads of times. You could do it, you could also just cut them into separate parts and then play, like, basically like when you're making Animalese, right? When characters are going, you have like 12 audio files, you play them in a random order and you repitch them and stuff like that. You're going to need that with the dice sound effect because it's so repetitive and it's the main thing the player is doing over and over again. So you're going to need to do something with that sound effect. Each rung up the ladder earns more. Maybe I'm going wrong by going for the money things and I should just be going for the luck things, but... yeah, I find when you've got a sound effect that occurs quite a lot, you want to do the pitch randomization and have a set of different sounds that are all in the same sort of timbre and sound like the same thing, but... if you just do the pitch randomization for something that's happening this frequent, it becomes really obvious. You kind of need to do both. And layering sounds as well, right? There could be a whoosh sound as well. So there's like a... as you roll the dice, you have the clacking sound you currently have. That's chopped up and randomized a little bit each time. And then you also have a... whoosh that as it sets off, and that's got a randomized pitch, and you layer them. And I think when a game is kind of trying to be a bit atmospheric like this, that stuff's even more important because it's all you've got, really. More cash for every die you lock in. And the nudge. We've still got more money. Let's use it. Land your target number more often. Okay. Yeah. We've got 26. What can we get? We can't get anything right now. Whew. Okay, we're halfway up. We're doing better than the first time, though. I'm pretty sure we're doing better than the first time. Give me even. Okay. Right, we're going to use the honest D6, which is just a normal D6, but it just gives us an extra chance to get the number we want. We're going to do the even, because that gives us a better chance of getting a 4 that we need right now, but we've got 43 coins, so let's see if there's anything we can level up. Keep dice on a miss. Let's level up the nudge. We're 50% of the way there now. We're doing all right. But now I've got to get a 5 and I don't have any way of boosting myself. So we're just 1 in 5 chance of continuing or going back down. Okay. We are doing better than the first time though. And I don't know if that's pure luck or understanding the game better, but it feels good. It feels good to be doing better on the second try. I know that sounds obvious, but it's the key thing you need to watch for with playtests of your games is, like, are people getting better at it? Because if people are getting better at it, then the game contains everything it needs for the player to learn for themselves how to get better at it, and often the issue is that a game doesn't have that. Fool's D20? 20 faces. Only 6 of them can ever help you. Shiny, though. Okay. 1s and 6s. No use for us now. Although we can nudge to a 2 with one of them. So let's do it. Nope. This is a terrible run. Have you got anything you can help me with? Ones and twos only. Don't have enough money for any special dice now. Hey Endo, how you doing? This game's pretty great. Sorry if it's just seems like annoying me being hyper focused in the same sound effect over and over again, but it's a pretty great game. Right, more money per climb. Not going to help us if we have to go down, but we've got an extra lock-in, so that's what the purple thing does. It kind of stops us dropping below that many levels, so you can level that up to 4. The benefit of doing this as well is if you've got like stuff that you could buy here to help you get a 2 or a 3, you're going to stop needing that, right? So the like window of how many things there are to spend your money on is going to shrink the more you level up the safety net. Anything I can afford? Not right now. Okay, let's put the 5 in. No, I don't like your... No, we're not doing your cards or cup game. No. Oh, I have to. You're making me. Roll 3 dice, any hits. 15 life per roll. Odds 27 down to 13. Beat the cups to lift it. Payouts doubled. A miss drops you to the bottom. Right, cups again. Oh. Yes. Good. I really wasn't expecting to just get the nudge on that last one. Okay, I'm going to do one more run. I really enjoy this. Out, coming soon, coming soon. Okay. But yeah, I would definitely sooner rather than later, because I think this, you want people to sit here and play this for multiple runs. So sooner rather than later, try and get the music layered so that it doesn't increase in intensity too much in the first like 3 lock-ins, because the current intensity of the music is very high. It feels like there is something. I don't know if we've just coincidentally landed on a bit of the music too where it's calmer. Maybe there is some ramping up and down, but it feels like it ramps up too soon. And then the sounds for the dice just need more variation and maybe some layering and stuff like that, because it is such a common sound, and particularly if you want people to stream this and other people to watch it, it's going to get quite irritating. Okay, let's do one more climb. I didn't get to bring anything over with me this time, so I don't have a little head start, which I did last time. Anything I can buy with 2? Oh, it feels terrible getting a start like this. Can't afford anything you've got, buddy. I think the skull there is where we have to do that little mini game. Evil mini game. Anything? You got anything for me that I can afford with that 4? The safety net. It's a must-have. I haven't played unfair flips now. There we go. More money. You got a dice I can afford? No. Maybe on the next roll if I get anything out of it? No. Oh. Not you again. I hate you. Okay, let's try a different thing this time. Roll 3 dice, any hits. Half your rolls. The dice got... Oh, okay. Throw 3 dice, but every roll drinks 15 of your life. I'm not sure what life is. Is this saying it's going to add 15? Oh, yeah, okay. I see. Oh, I hate that. I hate that. I don't understand what it is. It's eating up all my lives. I really hate the little minigame person that shows up. I think the rules of the different options aren't written in a way that makes it easy to understand before you lock them in. Yeah. Good game, though. That's really, really, really compelling. Atmosphere is great. There's nothing there that we haven't seen before, right? It's probably similar to Unveiled Lips. There's a bit of Inscription DNA there, but it all works together. And even after I'd played it and I'd just beaten it, I just immediately wanted to play it again, which is a very good sign. I would just try and just tweak the atmosphere until it feels a little bit more varied and a little bit more subdued, and like it has a bit more dynamism between like the low end of the tension scale when you're at the start and the high end when you've got 3, 4, 5 locked in. Yeah, that's pretty great. Let's check out this one now. It is called Credit Farm here. It was called Debtician or Debtician when it was sent in. I will do the download of this just in case it's going to run better. So the 3 games we looked at the start of this stream were all sent in by patrons. Thanks for sending those in. I feel like I also have to say that as a sort of disclaimer, because you know you pay for this channel. You're how this channel is able to exist, and why I very, very rarely do any sort of sponsorship. And obviously there are creators that are patron funded that also do sponsorships as well. But all of the offers I get sent at the moment are from AI companies that don't even look like their products deliver on what they say they can do. You know, every day there's a new 3D art asset generator or some sort of thing related to making things for games using AI. And every time I look at the email, I just looks like a chancer that's made something that doesn't even work properly. Maybe I'll do a whole video about it one day. But yeah, being able to do this without having to run loads of ads and stuff. I mean, you'll notice I don't do ads during streams because there's like 40 of you watching live, right? And why should I punish? If every one of these streams I do, there's like 30 to 50 of you that watch it live. And then if I'm lucky, there's like 1,000 people that watch the VOD. So why should the people that are like showing up to watch it live have to watch ads? It doesn't make sense. So I'm very grateful that people support this channel on Patreon. The first 3 games that we had in this stream were all patrons games. We had a little lucky run where lots of people submitted games about dice at the same time, which was like, oh, that's very, very obvious stream theme there. So one of the themes you would have seen so far is like, where is the luck and where is the mitigation, right? And those of you who have been like following game design for a while will probably have heard of the idea of pre-luck and post-luck, or input randomness and output randomness. And output randomness is pretty much all of the games we just saw. You choose what to do and then you roll the dice, and then your result is kind of dictated by the dice, right? An example of that is like D&D, where you decide what you want your character to do, and then you roll the dice, and then the dice decide whether it worked or not. Input randomness is different. Input randomness is where something random happens and gives you a randomly chosen option or set of options, and then you use them. So when you draw cards in a deck builder, that's an example of input randomness. And when we say input and output, it's like which side of the player's decision is the randomness happening, right? So in input randomness, you are drawing cards, then the random thing has happened, and now that randomness is inputting into your decision, and now you make the decision. Whereas output randomness is you make a decision and then something random happens, right? And all of the games we've seen so far are output randomness, which can feel quite bad, but it works very well for gambling type stuff, and it works very well for kind of creating drama in a story where you're like, ooh, which is why games that are based on D&D, like Baldur's Gate or like things like Disco Elysium, do make a big deal out of actually like showing the dice roll, animating it, having the sound, because having that little moment of tension build up before you get to see the result is kind of the secret sauce to create the drama there. But all of the games we've seen so far, it's like, it's not just the randomness, it's kind of, you know, calculating the odds in your head, buying things to mitigate the randomness that allow you to change dice or upgrade dice or temporarily swap a die for another one. And that takes a randomness that can feel just kind of crap, right? And turns it into an interesting set of decisions. If you think of like the most random game you could possibly play, that would be like Chutes and Ladders if you're American, Snakes and Ladders if you're British. I don't know what they call it in different countries. We stole it from India, Snakes and Ladders. But Snakes and Ladders is just random stuff happens to you, right? And there's no decisions in that game. I guess you could say choosing whether to carry on playing or not is a decision, but there's nothing in that game where you get to make a decision. And it actually makes sense in the original context because like the original version of this game was meant to kind of teach you about karma and like, you know, basically shit happens. This is like what an original Snakes and Ladders board looks like. Hang on, let's see if I can I get that zoomed in a bit more, because it's a really cool graphical thing, right? So like the ultimate form of output randomness is just every turn you don't really make a decision and then something totally random happens to you, right? Which is not interesting for most adults. But it becomes interesting again when we start to go, okay, at the end of my turn, something random's gonna happen, but I can do some stuff, and then I can make some judgments about, well, I can mitigate the randomness in this way or that way. You know, is it worth me spending this money now to make sure that happens or that doesn't happen, that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you need to know more about that, the terms are input, output randomness, or pre-luck and post-luck. And, you know, you'll come across those quite a bit in board game design, but it's kind of relevant here as well when we're doing these kind of gambling games where it's all about engine building and mitigating the randomness with how you spend your currency. Okay, let's check out Debtician or Debt Farm or whatever it's called. We're going to open a letter. Dominic's boss, bronze, default difficulty. This is very Luck Be a Landlord inspired, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to go full screen for a moment. Man, I just got fired. My poopy stinky boss. Hey, you have a credit card, right? I think I can access my boss's bank account. We could put him in so much debt. Get more debt than money. Okay, let's do that. Is that 8? Is that an 8? That's 15. That costs 15. That makes things more expensive. Choose one. It says choose one. I can't choose one. Oh, I have to double click them. The worker's boots gain extra debt for each bought item for 5 turns. Construction item. Okay, how do I do that? Oh, I have to drag the credit card onto it. I see. Okay. The cone. A regular orange cone. Construction item. I don't know if that's maybe that's an information tab. Simply increases debt. Okay. So my boot is going to make these cost more than they say. So we're going to just choose the things that are costing more. They have a C after them because that's their suit, their construction items, right? So credit card, boop. You took the money he had left? Well, whatever, as long as he's unhappy. Can't wait to say his reaction. Anyway, see ya. Okay. I think I get it. I like the attempt to sort of tutorializing the game mechanics through what the characters say a little bit here. I'm still a little bit confused, but the game is kind of pulling me through with the sound and graphical design. I don't mind being confused as much for a little bit if the game is pretty and feels good, and this is already doing that very well. Okay, new card, base bot +6. Susan's X. Okay, Susan's X. Are we going to have both credit cards and we're trying to like max them both out? Hello, Mr. Debtician. I'm Dominic's neighbour. I heard about the debt thing. My ex is quite the annoyance. I won't bore you with the details. Could you put him in debt? For me? Susan. Get more debt than money. Okay, I will. Susan. Okay, we got 2 cards. For the needy's base card, purchases add to your debt. Big number. Gives $6 every time you buy an item. Modify 6. Okay. 2 different cards. So this is... I'm still slightly confused about this. Choose 1 extra item. F. Gradient fruit. Permanently choose another item each turn. Food item. That seems pretty helpful. Let's get that. And we'll get the construction item because it costs more. And I can't choose anything else because you can only buy with each item, with each card once each turn, I guess. Let's get that because that makes all of the items give you 1 more. And we'll get the thing again. Can't get anything else this turn. I sort of understand half of what I'm doing. I don't understand the goal I'm trying to hit and how I know how close I am to the goal. That's the thing that I'm struggling with at this stage. You should see him now. That really messed him up. Thanks a lot, Mr. Debtician. Susan. Level completed. Okay, so we get to keep some money. I don't know if that means anything. Base Veil Guard can be used 2 times per turn at the cost of $5 per item. Okay, so that new card, that purpley looking one, is particularly helpful for buying like items that give us some extra ability, right? It's gonna reduce the debt value that we're getting, but if we need it to grab some item that's useful, then we should use it. Okay, so we've got all of these boots now. What do they do? Yeah, we're gonna smash it this time. Gives you 1 extra turn, delaying the inevitable. I'll do that. I love delaying the inevitable. What's that? What's that weird egg? Monochrome fruit. A fruit without effect. Food item. Okay. This is how many turns we've got, is it? Oh no. I don't know what that is. I think if you've got a number of turns and it's basically a bar, don't present it as numbers. You know, like 3 out of 4 is fine, but you want to be able to see it as a glance. So do it as pips, you know, have like circles that fill in, and it should, when you're on the last turn of something, it should make it very, very clear that, hey, you need to pay extra attention to your decision here because it's the last one you're going to get. I don't really see anything in the interface here to make that clearer, and that's kind of bothering me because I feel like when the level finishes, I didn't see it coming and I didn't realize I was on the last turn. And in a game like this, that's a really important moment to be aware that you're in, you know? Get more debt than money. Okay. Yeah, that's how many turns are left. It's kind of weird it's up there when we've got the next button down here. Yeah, we're going to lose that time. Oh no, hang on. Not sure why we just got all of that free debt at the end of that round either. So much about this game is good, but I just don't understand enough about what I'm doing, or why I'm winning all the time and I don't understand why, and that's a problem. Because it makes the wins not feel satisfying. Yeah, the presentation's great. Like, the whole game feels good, but I'm winning and I don't know why. I don't understand, you know, I just don't understand why I'm... Okay. What does this one do? Doubles every equipped card's multiplier. So we get 12 money every time we buy an item. With the needy's base card. Purchases add to your debt. Big number. Okay. Oh, so that's the only one that adds to our debt. And then these other ones give us money. Right, I get it now. This is our own money. That's their debt. That's the kind of... Yeah, I was able to play so many levels without really understanding the game, and I think that makes it feel like the game is just allowing you to no-brain it if you're able to get through levels where you just don't really understand the rules. 1.1 times total debt for the next 3 turns. Okay, we're going to get that. By that we'll get debt. That will add, so that one adds on there because we used the gold card, which is the one that we're actually building the debt up on. All right, 1 extra turn with the beach ball. We're gonna buy... What do these do again? Buy the hammer with the gold card. So we're basically always trying to buy the most expensive thing with the gold card because that's what increases the red debt number, which we're trying to do all of the time. Because that's our win condition. Now they were worth minus, which is confusing. Okay. think I get it now. New card. Items bought give you an extra $30, though you lose 15 every turn. These kind of... I think I'm feeling something similar now to what I did with Dice for the Dice God, where you had all of those complex trade-offs in Dice for the Dice God that I was playing earlier in the stream. They were interesting trade-offs, but they were just presented too early on. And I'm getting the same thing here with the different types of cards, where it's like, yeah, I could see how that might be interesting if I understood the game better, but I don't. Yeah, I'm what Aiden just said in the chat, I'm kind of having that problem. I have it on a big screen and it needs this. I see this a lot where people, I don't know if people are developing their games on laptops or something, but there should really be a safe area around here, like 10 to 20% of the screen height and width. And all of this stuff should be taking place in it. So this stuff where it says level 5 turn 1 should be about here. You know, the money 2000, this shouldn't be coming out any further than here. You know, try and push everything in so that it's kind of... Because basically you've got a central focal point of the screen here, and there's nothing there. It's all around this kind of big border around the edge. And that means that the distance you have to kind of move your head or your eyes to see things is really, really exacerbated. It's funny because the game looks good. And I think when someone is kind of showing, oh yeah, sorry, I was moving my cursor around on Streamlabs, but yeah, basically this box of this text should be like down here. You know, we just have like a safe area around here that nothing goes into. This number should be like over here. It's little nudges, but it's kind of weird because the game looks great and I would expect that bordering issue to be something the dev is aware of if they're able of kind of producing all of this really nice looking art. Doubles every equipped card's modifier, sure. That allows me to pick 2 things. Gonna take that, and then I'm gonna buy that with the gold card because that puts the big number up. Gives you 1 extra turn delaying the... Why are these minus now? I don't want them to be minus. Yeah, I don't understand why the values suddenly go down to minus sometimes. I think the problem that this game has is it just has too many strange concepts, and the way that you introduce them is basically by letting the player win, and that means that you just get further and further into the game without understanding the core of it, and then you end up in the situation I'm in, where you're quite deep into the game because the game has kind of let you win for so long, and as the game's letting you win, it's kind of like filtering in these more complex rules. You're unlocking more cards and you're getting more abilities and stuff, but you don't understand the core of the game any better. And yeah, I'm not going to keep playing this one today because it's hurting my brain, and I do like it. I like the look of this game. It feels great to play. But it just has this very fundamental problem of, like, I've played through all of this stuff. It felt like the game wasn't going to let me lose. and the challenges that the game was giving me weren't actually an adequate test of whether I understood the game. And we just keep getting further and further ahead of it and getting these new sets of rules, which are kind of like, you know, jokers in Balatro. And the deeper I get into the game, the less I understand it, because it's introducing more and more complexity that I don't, that I haven't mastered the previous level of complexity. I wonder if there's a way we can go and take a look at Balatro and just quickly check out how the onboarding works if I start a new save. Let's just go and have a look. Let's see how long it takes me to lose a round of Balatro in a new game. Because I think the issue, you're always going to have this issue, if your game has lots of strange new concepts in, and like there's not really much in the game for people to go, oh yeah, it works like that other game, you're going to have to take it slower with onboarding. And the smaller the project is, and the more kind of indie bedroom coder it is, the more you're really, really going to have to like pay a lot of attention to that stuff, because you're not just like giving a game that's a new version of another game to people and saying, hey, this is a bit like that thing, if you understand how to play that, then you can play this, and then they can play test it straight away, because like, you know, if they've played a platformer, they know how to play another platformer, right? So you can go deeper earlier on with your playtesting because people understand a larger percentage of your game, whereas if your game is like 100% weird stuff they haven't encountered before, then you're going to have to like make sure that that is making sense a lot earlier in the experience. Otherwise you just get people 20 minutes into your game still not really understanding the core principles of like the goal that you're trying to reach and how you reach it. Because I kind of half understood the choices I was making in that last game. I don't think Balatro is going to run today. I sort of half understood the choices I was making in that game. But then weird things would happen, like the numbers reversing to minus numbers. I wasn't always sure why something was going on the red debt number that was my score I was trying to reach, and when it was going on my own money. I didn't really understand what was happening there. And the problem is that the challenges that the game was giving me weren't acting as a proper gate to make sure I didn't pass into the next section until I could do that, right? And if you think of how bosses work in kind of traditional action games, they are what we call skill gates in game design. A skill gate is basically something being put into the game to say, if you do not understand how to play the game well enough, if your skills are not at a certain level, you are not going to make it past this point. And like classic action games have this all the time with bosses, where a boss is like, okay, this is a test of all the skills you've learned so far. The next part of the game is going to be more difficult, and you shouldn't be able to get into the next part of the game until you can prove you can do. You've kind of secured these skills by beating this boss. The problem with the last type of game is the skills you need to secure are like strategic skills. So we can't put a. I mean, I guess you can, but it's harder to put a skill gate in, which is just like this thing has 400 health. And if you can't beat a monster with 400 health, you can't get past it. Now, I mean, Balatro does do that, right? There's like these score targets you need to hit, and that's a reasonably easy way of tuning the game to say, like, if you don't understand the game at this point, there's no way you can score 4,000 or whatever the game is requiring you to score at that point. I didn't feel like the game we just checked out was structured in such a way where I really needed to understand. I really needed to kind of prove to the game that I understood one bit of it before moving on to the next one. And that's a shame, because it looked cool. I can't find it now. But yeah, it just kind of wasn't able to really live up to that because I just got too far ahead without understanding what I was doing. Definitely an interesting issue to watch out for in your own games when you're watching playtesters with them, right? Have you made the game so soft on people that they are able to progress too far into the game and then get completely lost? Because, I had this with the last week with that naval battle game, where the tutorial kept going, right, we're doing this now. And then we did it. And I did it for like 30 seconds. And then the tutorial moved on and right, we're doing this other thing now. I was like, wait, hang on. I haven't learnt the thing. I haven't learned the thing you were just showing me. You showed me a thing. I didn't get to do it. You didn't test me on it, right? You showed me how to do a thing. I didn't actually get to exercise the skill and be judged on the skill, which is what a tutorial is supposed to do. But whether it's a tutorial that takes 10 minutes or it's an entire onboarding process of like the first 3 hours of a game, it needs to be structured so that you don't get on to the next bit until you've proven that you've got the skills you need, you know? So yeah, sorry, what I would have liked to have done there is like load up Balatro and look at the onboarding on Balatro, but it's just being janky for me and not loading. So we won't do that today. But thanks for joining today. And I am going to go and get on with some admin and some other stuff I need to do, and editing the most recent Game Developers Library podcast, which is about Mike Cook's book about procedural generation. And then we're moving on to the next one, which is Jeff Engelstein's book about loss aversion. So this is quite short little book, actually. It's only like just over 110 pages long, something like that. It's all about loss aversion, which is a psychological phenomena that we experience loss more strongly than we experience winning stuff of equal value. It's just a weird little cognitive bias we have. There's this great diagram on of loss aversion. Look, gain $10, little bit happy. Lose $10, very sad. That's right at the start of the book. So I'm going to be reading that this month, and then there will be a podcast coming up on that in about a month's time, and folks who are on the Patreon in the higher tiers will get my notes on it earlier on. Yeah, thanks for joining today, and come back next time. I think the next stream will be yeah, I mean, sunk cost fallacy is kind of related to that, right? It's kind of an offshoot of it, because it's the fear of losing things. It's the dislike of losing things. And in sunk cost fallacy, it's losing the potential of something, right? And you put the time and effort into it, or you put money into it, and you think that means it has value and potential. And that's the thing that you don't want to lose. But we can use it in a good way as well, right? Loss aversion is used in lots of bad ways in game design, like making you log in every day to get a bonus on whatever horrible free-to-play game it is. But like the basic kind of emotional thrills of playing a game, of feeling triumph, of overcoming adversity, also come back to this feeling, right? So if you think of what I was experiencing in what was the second game called? The second game on the list today. Let me just get my spreadsheet back up. If you think of what that Dice Tower type game was like, that was all built around this, of just like that, ooh, nearly kind of feeling, those near win moments. So what did we have? What were the names of the games today? I had them in a list here. Yeah, the first one was Deck Dice. Then we had Dice for the Dice God. House of Die was the third one, the kind of Inscription feeling game. All of the kind of emotional ups and downs of that game are related to this feeling as well. Of if you want a very quick primer on this topic, just like No Skills just said in the chat, Engelstein has a GDC talk from like 2018 where he talks about it. He's a board game designer, but so much of it is relevant to video games as well. Tarafi, thanks for, yeah, it's all good. Not everyone can support Patreon. That's why it works the way it does, right? It's like the vast majority of what I do gets to go to everyone, and then some people support it. That's what a patron is, right? A patron of the arts is someone who sees someone making things and goes, I want that person to do that more, so I'll give them some more money. And then in doing that, they're funding that thing being visible to everyone else. That's what patronage is. So yeah, I appreciate it when people say stuff like that, but don't feel like there's a pressure there. Not everyone can afford to do that, and not everyone needs to, right? We've got about 400, 500 patron supporters on Patreon, and then like 50,000 people watching the YouTube channel. So that's possible because of the Patreon. But if we needed all 50,000 people to support it, then it would just end up being a completely different thing. Definitely not Socrates, more of a Diogenes type person. This is definitely a Diogenes shirt, or like a, I don't know, someone else. Have a good rest of the day, folks. Thanks for dropping in.